Yo, what's up, and welcome to episode 203 of Throwback Hoops. My name is Rob Clayton, and I'm joined by my main man once again, Woody V. What's happening, man?
Man, you're losing 9-0 this week in Yahoo Fantasy. I was waiting to come online to tell you about it.
Yeah, someone just sent me that. I hadn't even realised. Yeah, I mean, I have had the worst injury list ever in Yahoo, but yeah, that's ridiculous.
Who are you playing against this week, though?
Don't know, someone that's at the top of that comp, but yeah, I just had to take your bread money in the CBS comp, but yeah, man, I'm so busy at work. I don't have time for fantasy these days.
I'm with you.
And you're very cleanly shaven as well today, mate. What's going on with that?
Just change it up, man. It's been a while. Been rocking the beard for a while, so yeah.
Nice. Well, good to see you looking a little bit younger there. Well, before we get into it, just a reminder to please make sure you like, rate, and subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. So. I feel like we say it every week, Woods, but plenty to talk about. We're going to talk about all different types of basketball today, from WNBL to FIBA to NBL to NBA. But before we do that, as always, we're going to kick it off with some jerseys. And we don't know. Well, actually, I know what you're wearing. You don't know what I'm wearing. But either way, there's some old school jerseys today. So why don't you take it away?
And this is just a shout out to Peter Hooley. So Peter, this one's for you.
Woods stand up rocking the old school Milwaukee Bucks, number 22, Michael Red jersey.
And this all started when Pete Hooley was watching John Brown III shooting, and he was like, man, he shoots like Michael Red. And I was like, no, he shoots like Stacey Augmon. And then I showed him this jersey I had, and I thought, like, time to, bit of a tribute to him. And John Brown the third just got announced to the All-NBL First Team Defensive Player of the Year. So I thought, let's take a trip down memory lane and talk about Michael Red. I mean, we talk about I've worn his jersey maybe in the past before and gone through his bio. So let's just talk about him as a player. A second-round draft pick. Came out of nowhere. I think it was 2004. He just upped his scoring average from like 10 to 14 points all the way up to early 20s and made an all-star team. He then went on to win a gold medal at the Olympics with the Redeem team. He's got that unique slingshot over the head shooting technique, right? He actually reminded me a bit of Peja Stojakovic left-handed, right? Peja also had that high release point a little bit with the one hand, coming off the ball at the very end. So, yeah, I mean, what do you remember about Michael Red? Does he get slept on and forgotten about sometimes? 31, he retired, right, because of injuries,
He definitely goes down as one of those random all-stars. We have that list of guys that have made one-time all-star teams, and he'd be up there. I seem to remember all his threes coming from the corner. I might be wrong there, but I feel like he loved those corners, right? He loved those corner threes. And you're right, he did have a strange-looking shot that was probably a little bit Stacey Augmon-like, but yeah, he did come from nowhere, didn't he? I don't know if you got the stats in front of you, Woods, but did he play for anyone else? Or was he...
just Phoenix in that very last year, right?
Yeah, right, okay. So, yeah, he was with the Bucks a long time before then, right? So, yeah, and you're right, retiring at 31, we didn't get to really see that longevity, and maybe that's the thing with the current era now. These players are able to play longer, sports science, medical, advancements and those sort of things maybe can make a player play longer. But so he would have been on those Bogut teams, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he would have been.
Yeah.
And look at this, 21.7 points, 23 points, 25.4, 26.7, 22.7, 21.2 in consecutive years, right?
And that's in that era as well where teams were scoring, they weren't getting over 100 every night or 120 every night like now. So, yeah, put him in the modern day game, right? He would be an absolute handful there. But, yeah, it's a nice blast from the past. And a very big jersey, that one, Woods, I've got to say, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You're growing into it after all your food you're eating at the moment.
Yeah, definitely, man. But really was a big fan of his, and as you said, making that All-Star game that 1 year, I remember it fondly. I think might have been around the time that Cassell made his first All-Star game. Could have even been the same one or very close to, right? So
what year did you say he was drafted?
2000.
2000. Okay.
Yeah.
No,
I didn't actually say it, but he was drafted in
2000.
2000.
Yeah.
The 43rd overall pick in the second round. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, Beijing 2008 as well.
Nice. Okay, so you had any reason for that, or you just wanted to rock it one today?
No, I just wanted to rock it. Yeah, it just feels
You're
comfortable.
You're rocking it for your boy Lou Dort, who massively annoyed the Joker in that game on the weekend.
I saw that.
All right, well, I'll take it away with mine. Very safe to say, and we knew having this era of jerseys, these guys' paths definitely crossed, and I think even when you mentioned that Redeem team, US team, they would have both been on it together. So I've got some random jerseys. This isn't so much a random player, but this is a random jersey. Woods. I'll show you how I'm rocking today. You don't even know what team it is by looking at it yet, do you?
Oh, no, I don't.
Yeah, that shows you how random it is. Nope. All right, I'll show you how I'm rocking.
For those who can't see, Robbie's wearing the blue Cleveland #1 Carlos Boozer jersey. And,
How do you like that one?
sick, bro.
Firstly, before I get into it, Woods, as I put this on before, my daughter, shout out to Emily, what did she say? That's the most ugly jersey I've ever seen, with her exact words. I don't mind it.
I remember them when they came out, man.
Yeah, I think it might have only been the one year they wore them. But yeah, you could think is it Clippers? Is it New York? The teams that have worn those colours. But yeah, it's a Cleveland Cavs Reebok jersey. And we know the Reebok ones are random, right? I do not have a lot of them. Probably, for all the jerseys I've got, I've probably only got 10 or so Reebok jerseys. There wasn't a lot of them around that time. But yeah, a little bit of a bio on Carlos Boozer. And like I said, Woods, I think his paths would have crossed pretty well with Michael Redd with that sort of area he was drafted.
Sure. 100%, yeah,
so obviously Boozer had a longer career. He played 16 seasons in the NBA after getting drafted out of Duke by the Cavs at pick 35 in the 02 draft. So a couple of second rounders that went on to have good careers that we're talking about today, which is cool, Woods.
Yeah.
So he played with the Cavs. He then had that controversial free agent signing with Utah, right? So, there was promises made and maybe not kept between the owner at the time and Boozer, and there's a lot of controversy that went on with that. But went to Utah, and then he had stints in Chicago and the Lakers. Can't really remember in the Lakers. Before ending his career with a season or two in China. So the 6'9" power forward actually had a really impressive career for someone that was drafted in the second round. So finished with accolades of a two-time All-Star Woods, so 07 and 08. He made an All-NBA third team in 08. He made an All-NBA rookie, an All-Rookie second team in 03. Was an NCAA champion in 2001 with Duke. And then, had some success with the USA team, and also some not so great moments. So he was part of that Redeem team 2008, winning that gold medal. And then he was also a part of the infamous 2004 Athens Olympic team where the US team won bronze. And everyone knows about that story there. So, look, since retiring, Boozer's gone on to work with the Jazz in their front office, which he's currently doing now. And of course, Woods, we're going to see another Boozer next season with his son Cam Boozer expected to be a top 5 pick and looking really good from the highlights I've seen there. So, yeah, what are your memories of Carlos Boozer? I can think of a couple of things you might say here as well.
I remember when he got drafted, I was like looking up his profile, and if I'm not mistaken, he's from born in Germany.
He was born in West Germany, I think he was born,
And then he's from Alaska, if I'm not mistaken. He went to high school in Alaska, which is a random place for him to go. But I just remember that first stint with Cleveland, right? I think, did he have... LeBron's rookie year was the only year they played alongside each other from memory, right?
Yeah, you could be right.
There's Zadronis, Carlos, and LeBron. He played maybe 1 year with LeBron and then moved to Utah, right? I remember him on those Cleveland teams. Donyell Marshall maybe as well, right? But he really... And
you're right, by the way, high school in Alaska, so Juneau, Alaska. So, born in West Germany, high school in Alaska, went to a famous college in Duke. So, very interesting guy.
I just found that really random when I read his bio back in the day.
Sure.
So, that stood out for me, right?
He
would have gone up against Michael Redd in college as well.
Yeah, 100%. And cool, they were both on that Olympic team there. The things I thought you were going to mention, do you remember he had that sort of the shoe polish stuff in his hair because he was going bald. He tried to hang on and had a bit of... It was almost like Jaylen Brown, like the polish is coming off on people. And you remember his catchphrase that he always used to yell out in games, right?
And one.
Shout out to No Dunks and the Starters who always used to talk about it. But he would go anywhere near the ring, put up a shot, and he'd just yell out and one at the top of his voice. And he was really good, right? Pretty good longevity, 16 seasons now, playing with the 4 teams there. So, I think this is probably about as... I don't even know how I got this jersey, Woods. This is, I don't know if this is a rookie jersey. It's probably like a second-year jersey. But Utah is clearly where he made his name. And look, Bulls, he was okay, I guess. I mentioned the Lakers. I didn't remember him there. He was there for, basically a season, so it wasn't a long time. But, just the 2 seasons, and you're right. So he finished with Cleveland in 04, which would have been LeBron's rookie year there. So, cool that we get to see another player. And we talked about last week about having jerseys of, sons of players that we've got, jerseys of. So maybe I have to get myself a Cam Boozer jersey and maybe rock one of those and put it with the Carlos Boozer jersey. So, pretty cool this one. I just found this one sitting there and thought, what is that colour? I sort of was looking by colours today. I'm like, wow,
He must only be in his early 40s or something now, right?
Yeah, he's currently 44. So
he's
yeah,
already got a son coming through. That's quick.
Yeah, I bet he's still in pretty good shape as well. He was he's always looked after himself, and he was one of those guys that had a lot of tattoos before they became in vogue that they are now, with every man and his dog having them. So yeah, very interesting story, and pretty cool today, Woods, that we've spoken about 2 second-round draft picks that I don't think a lot of people are rocking Michael Redd and Carlos Boozer jerseys in their collection, but this is what we like to do, right? We like to talk about these guys, tell a bit of a story, and reminisce a little bit about these guys from yesteryear, right?
Yeah, for sure. I always just used to think Boozer and Drew Gooden were like similar looking guys, similar characters, right?
Yeah,
like,
I could see that, yeah.
They're different games, but I used to confuse the two all the time when I was younger, right?
Yeah, no, not the worst comparison, for sure. All right, nice. Well, card of the week, I got a random one as well today. Well, it's not a random guy, but it was kind of on my mind last night when Australia were playing Philippines in the FIBA qualifying games, which we'll talk about pretty soon. But it's an NBL card that I'm showing today, and it's a 2003 Topps Chrome rookie card relic card of Philippines' finest, Kai Sotto. So firstly, shout out to Matty McQuaid. I know we'll get a kick out of saying that. But yeah, this is a guy, and again, bring up my daughter, I was explaining the whole phenomenon with this guy. He came over here and he had that season with Adelaide, and I think people had really high hopes with this guy, right? He was the next big hope for Philippines, and people thought he was going to go on to be a high draft pick. It didn't eventuate, did it? He's currently playing in the Japanese B League. I always get that name wrong, but I think it is the B League, even though it's their main league. There's no doubt he's a decent player, right? He's a big unit, a big lefty there, but yeah, I think he just had the nation's hopes on their shoulders, didn't they, when he did come out here, and maybe didn't quite eventuate in Adelaide like probably a lot of people hoped that they would there. I think there was different circumstances behind that. But yeah, Kai Sotto, give me some thoughts on him.
Yeah, I thought he was able to develop a little bit here. Obviously, the weight of the world on his shoulders, expectations from a whole country.
For sure.
My question to you is, if we hashtag Kai Sotto, hashtag PBA, of Philippines basketball when we announce this episode, are we going to get a whole heap of views because we're talking about Kai Sotto?
We're always very nice to the Filipino people. I've got a few Philo friends, so yeah, why not? We'll do that this week and get some thoughts on Kai Sotto.
Is the Japanese B League going on at the moment? It is, eh?
It is going on at the moment, yeah. I think he had an injury late last season and came back, I think, early this year. Maybe that's why they wanted to keep him healthy. And look, very strange timing. I know we'll talk about this. There's guys that were playing in that game last night. I'm like, I did not want to see Elijah Pepper playing 30 minutes in this game.
For sure, bro.
It was not good, but we'll talk about that. But yeah, shout out to Kai Sotto. Nice card. This is an inaugural set of the NBL cards they did, Wood. So look, it's not the most exciting relic. You can see it's all the blue. The ones that are the fancy ones are the mixed coloured ones, but pretty cool looking card nevertheless there of Kai Sotto, and someone that is maybe a little bit forgotten about in Australia because we haven't heard a lot about him, and we certainly don't hear about the Japanese B League here. But yeah, we'll tag that to all our fans in the Philippines and see what they think of that guy. So all right, appreciate that, Woods. Well, as I mentioned, a lot to talk about. I'm actually going to shake things up as well. I've moved the order of our run sheet. So just to keep you on your toes, Woods, because I thought we had to start with WNBL, right? So I thought it was only fitting that we started with that. So look, we both watched this deciding game yesterday between Townsville and Perth, and I think we both agree this is one of the best games of basketball in any type of basketball we've seen in quite a long time. This is an amazing game, right? So I thought I'd just go through. So look, I was probably hoping Perth would win, and from a selfish point of view, I'm disappointed it didn't go to 3 games. Although, in the back of my mind was, again, the scheduling. This game 3 would have been Wednesday night around the same time that the Wildcats are playing. What are you doing these things? We talked about this last year. Terrible, right? They could have scheduled it on Tuesday or Friday, something like that. But anyway, it didn't eventuate because Townsville are the champions, and congratulations to them. So they won game 1 in Townsville, 88-79. So this was a really good game, wasn't it? There was 27 lead changes before a really big third quarter from the Fire, led by their captain, Courtney Woods, who we'll definitely talk a bit more about. She had 22 and 6 in that game. And Mila Sowa, for those that were mentioned, those that think she looks familiar, Sowa. She was formerly Goodchild, so people will remember her from her time with Perth. She had 20 points against her old team. And yeah, I had some little notes there. So the Fire had last won in 2023, and they lost the grand final last year to Bendigo. And Perth Woods, the last time they won a championship was 1992. So you're about 9 years old. You're probably still playing in the sandbox or something at that time there. So, and look, they're in their 3rd grand final in 5 years, so they haven't been able to sort of get over that hump. But that was game 1 done. But look, the game we wanted to talk about was yesterday's game.
Yeah,
so at the time of recording, it's Monday the 2nd of March. Happy autumn as well, Woods. Summer's over, even though it's humid as in here, and it still feels like it's summer. But yeah, game 2 yesterday in a sold-out Perth. Really good atmosphere in this game. Townsville winning 108-105 in overtime. So a lot of points scored in this one. And look, one of the all-time great WNBL finals games. We've seen a lot of experts come out and say that today. 41 lead changes, if you don't mind, Woods, just in case you didn't think 27 was enough in the first game there. And look, the Fire were led by captain and championship MVP Courtney Woods. She was amazing, wasn't she? A career high in points at 28. She also had 8 rebounds and 7 assists. Also copped an elbow to the head in the third quarter by Han Shu. Woods actually fouled out late in the game there, and they were led by Miller again, who came up huge, wasn't she? At the end of regulation, hitting that big three. Also had a huge score late in the overtime there. And Alicia Froling, I think she also deserves to have her name called out as well, which she was great all game with 25 and 8. Before I talk about some of the Perth girls in that game, give me some thoughts on this second game in general. How good was it, and how big were some of those Fire players in big moments?
Yeah, firstly, it was great to see such an awesome crowd in for the game, right?
Great
terrific audience there, and it was just basketball at its finest, man. Like, as you said, 41 lead changes, sitting on the edge of my seat. It was epic, man. I couldn't believe what I was witnessing, right?
Who were you going for?
I was going for Perth to go to a Game 3, man.
Yeah.
I just wanted to see a Game 3 just for the sake of it. But what I will say is a great advertisement for women's basketball in this country,
Absolutely.
man. Like, it was just outstanding, right? And you see some of the best players, some of the best athletes in the women's game going at it, right? Courtney Woods, you mentioned, man. What a great, I was mentioning last week, what a great leader she is, right? She's only 26, 27 years of age, right?
Yeah.
But there's nothing she can't do, and the whole team just gets on her back and follows her, right?
Getting a career high in a deciding finals game is pretty
I think
impressive.
8 assists, 7 rebounds to go with it, and just makes the right decisions, right? And watching her go to work, all her teammates are just like, let's do this, man. So really impressive. And let's talk about Froling real quickly as well, right? Before you move on. She was considering retirement a few years ago. She had to change the hand she shot with, right?
Yeah.
Absolute beast, man. Gets the ball. She's going up against Han Zhu half the time, right? And she's finding like sneaky ways to get around her and use her drop step and post moves to score over each shoulder, off the glass, little runners. So skillful, man. Like, I was so impressed, right?
I was pretty impressed by Shannon Seaborn. Shout out to the Michael Clark lookalike there with his game plan that they played on Handshoe there. I mean, there was a double, if not triple team every time. So they were letting her catch the ball, and then they would send players from all sorts of directions just to throw Shu off a game. I thought it was a really good game plan. Shannon Seaborn, Woods, he's an incredible coach, right? So I was speaking with the Hills court announcer on Saturday night, Angus. Shout out to Angus, who was like, man, Sydney had this guy, the Flames, and they let him go, sort of thing. And now he's going to go down as one of the all-time great coaches. And that Townsville team now, I mean, they're sort of going to put up a bit of a dynasty there, right? So they've, what have they had? How many finals wins have they had in the last 5 years now? I did have that down in my notes somewhere. But look, bouncing back from the loss last season, more importantly, they'd won in 2023. So, yeah, great for them to win that title there. A little bit on Perth before we wrap it up, Woods. I thought, obviously, Han was really good with 18, 9 and 4, but Annalene Maley, Woods, we know we're big fans of her on the show. What a game she had. She had 27 and 19 rebounds. So 19 rebounds, just an incredible effort. And I was really impressed by Alex
Shiva.
Shiva.
I always think when
I see her name, it reminds me of that should be like a type of pasta or a pizza that you get from your local Italian. She was just cold-blooded in that game. She had 23 points. And Ali Wilson, she was off on her shooting. I mentioned that in the game, which she was 3 of 19, which is pretty brutal. But she did put up 13, 9 and 9, and she was always, a focus towards the end. And someone that was playing with a bit of aggression in that game, wasn't she? She got heated a few times. She plays, with a lot of emotion, which I like to see there. But yeah, again, great game. I wish more people that we know would have watched this, because I don't think many did, Woods. I mean, we struggle with a lot of our mates, even watching NBL games, and then obviously they don't really have an interest in WNBL or WNBA. So all we can say, like we do all the time, support these games, right? If you love basketball, how could you not love this game? And a shout out to the Townsville Fire for being the champions. It was sad, but also good in a way for me to see Piper Anderson rocking around in that moon boot. So she's the new recent addition to the Hills Hornets there. So I know Coach Rob's saying that they hope to have her back maybe around Anzac Day. So that's going to be a pretty handy addition to put in that Hills Hornets team just quietly. Let's put Piper Anderson there. But she'll come to this NBL one season as a current WNBL champion. But any final words on the WNBL before we wrap it up?
I want to be able to pick Annalene Maley in my super coach or fantasy team and make her my captain on a double, bro. Because if she's give me 27 and 19, 6 assists, I want to put her in my super coach team. So let's improve the website, and launch Supercoach of Fantasy. Make it a little bit more interesting for everyone in the public to follow.
We've been saying this for 5 years now, Woods, and considering they butchered the actual NBL Supercoach, they owe us one, right? So if you're listening to it, Supercoach, come and put it back to the old system firstly for NBL, do the same system for WNBL. I think this honestly gets more people watching the games.
Of course it does.
I don't know if they realise that. Whatever it costs to put this website and this fantasy comp together, you will get more fans of the game. So it's so dumb that they haven't done this as yet.
How much... It was just a little bit less enjoyable this NBL season without worrying about without thinking about my Supercoach numbers and I was just added another aspect of the game which made
it's pretty short-sighted by both the leagues to not do this. And look, all we can do is speak it, and hopefully we can speak it into existence. But yeah, again, what a great final series, Woods. It was a 2-0 sweep in the end, but yeah, man, it could have gone either way in that overtime, couldn't it? There, I mean, Townsville constantly coming up with big late shots there, and I think that Perth crowd were pretty devastated at the end, weren't they? But big shout out to the Fire.
Is there food for thought, Robbie, for a 5-game final series for the women?
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing, right? Could you still maybe do the semis as a 3-game and then make the grand final a 5? We've seen that, NBL did that for a little while too.
NBL do that now.
They still do that now for 3 in the semis.
This
new
they
format?
do.
Okay,
which I hate. Which I hate. But it's ridiculous. It should be 5 in the semis.
It should be the same, right? Make it either 3, 5, 7, but keep it the same. So yeah, good call, Woods. Well, if we can be WNBL commissioner for a day, we'll bring in Supercoach and we'll make it a 5-game final series.
Well, Jacinta's listening, man. She's a correspondent there.
Squink can make it happen for us. Shout out to Squink.
For sure, yeah.
All right, nice. Well, yeah, really fun there. And look, I thought we'd go from WNBL to NBL now, Woods.
Sure thing, bro.
We're only 2 days away from these playing games starting, Woods, and I'm really pumped for this. Thought we'd do a little bit of a preview on these upcoming games. So Wednesday night, the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix host my Perth Wildcats, and then the following night, Melbourne United host a really injury-hit Jack Jumpers team. So I thought maybe we'd start off with some thoughts on this third place game on Wednesday night, Woods. As I said, really looking forward to this one. It was a pretty decent season series. Perth won the season series 2-1. All 3 games are quite entertaining. So I guess just a quick recap for that. Southeast won the first game in December in Perth by 1. Then Perth took the next game in Melbourne with a 10-point win, and then about just a month ago, Perth won by 8. So, 8 points, 10 points, 1 point. All those games are pretty much in the balance throughout the 3 games there. And, Perth obviously taking it out 2-1. But give me some thoughts. What are your thoughts on the game? Who's going to win the game? What else you got for me?
I think it's going to be a really close contest. I think Southeast Melbourne are going to take this game and face Adelaide. I know you disagree with that, but
of course.
My question to you is, John really, he's out coaching the Australian team. You got Elijah Pepper out there, jacking up 50 shots and playing 74 minutes in 3-4 nights and coming on a long flight. How is that going to impact this Perth team, Because those 2 guys are very important to the success of this Wildcats lineup, right?
Hey, would you know me, buddy? I love name dropping, right? So I was actually talking to none other than Daniel Kickett on Saturday night. He was out at the Hive. I went out for an NBL 1 pre-season game.
Shout out to
We're
kids.
talking about the whole thing with really being out there. And I think it was obviously Vickerman's illness that came up last week. It's sort of, put really up there. I think he would have been going regardless. And I think he trusts his assistant coaches to get the team ready, but not the greatest preparation when they're playing a game that started 10:30, Eastern Standard Time, Australia on a Sunday night, and then they wouldn't have flown out till today. So, I'm sure he'd be flying straight to Melbourne there with, Elijah Pepper. They're probably sitting in the seats together. They're so close now. But, it's not the best preparation, is it? But look, I mean, they knew who their opponent was a week or so ago, so the coaches would have handled that. But, it's a little bit strange. But, so you're thinking Southeast Melbourne. Think it's going to be a tight game? Or?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really tight game. But that home court advantage, right, it's going to make a little bit of a difference there. They're going to be relying on that 3 ball and, the very, very reliant on the 3 ball, that Southeast Melbourne team. So if the Perth Wildcats can protect that 3-point line, close out on shooters and make them shoot a bad percentage, Southeast Melbourne don't give up. They're going to keep jacking up 3s, right? And that's a situation that Perth got to look at. Good perimeter defense, guard the 3 ball, and that's their recipe to victory, right? Yeah.
Well, 2 keys for me, right? Firstly, I think that matchup between John Brown III and Christian Doolittle is going to be great. I mean, 2 of the absolute elite defenders in the league there. So I'm assuming they'll be guarding each other.
I think Doolittle will go to
they
Serby.
might want to do that, right? I was
Doolittle
thinking the
will
same.
go to Serby, and then you'll have...
But Brown will definitely be on Doolittle,
Yeah,
I'd
100%.
say. Yeah. And they'll probably try and create that mismatches, and because Doolittle probably wants to guard more of a scorer than what Brown
He said
is.
it at he was asked at the Perth Wildcats Awards night yesterday, or a couple of nights ago, who are you going to be guarding? He's like, I'm going to be guarding Serby, right? So.
Nice. Well, that seems to be the key for me. It's trying to contain either one of Sobey or Owen Fox, all right? So both of those guys we know can get hot from downtown. They're a great backcourt there. I think if Perth can contain one of those, like say they can keep both those guys to 18 and under, right? Especially like keeping Sobey under, that would be a pretty big win for Perth there, and have some of their guards themselves, because I don't know that Sobey and Foxwell are going to be able to stop Elijah Pepper with the form he's in. Look, Pepper's going to take the shots whether he's shooting well or not, but I think Henschel's got a pretty good size to play over some of those guys now. He's a sneaky big guard, Henschel. Maybe Dylan Windler's a bit of an X factor in this game, right? We haven't seen a really healthy Dylan Windler in a while now, and hopefully, they got a bit of rest in that last regular season game, but he could be a big X factor in this game. But yeah, really looking forward to it. As we mentioned before, the winner of this goes through to play Adelaide in the semi-finals. They'll finish third and play Adelaide. The loser fights another day. So as much as it's a big game, it's not knockout. So speaking of knockout though, Woods, the Thursday night game is, right? And that's between Melbourne United and Tassie. So interesting this one. So Tassie won the season series 2-1 over Melbourne. So in December, Tassie won by 19. Pretty weird game so far. So by 19. In early January, Tassie won by 9. And then about halfway through January, so quite a while ago they've played, Melbourne won by 2. So one thing that stands out in all these games was pretty low scoring games. So Melbourne have scored in the 70s all 3 games, which is pretty crazy with some of the firepower they've got. So they went 73, 75 and 79, which is pretty crazy there. But look, we know this is a different Tasmania team now, right? They've got a lot of injuries. We know Magnay's out. We know Bryce Hamilton's out. How are Tasmania going to this? For me, it feels like they've maybe got nothing to lose. No one's expecting them to go and win this, and maybe that's the sort of thing that Scott Roth is going to get them up for in this game.
Yeah, I think they've got to make it ugly. As you said, the lower the score is, the better chance they've got of winning this game. But what I will say is, when you've got a Tasmania team that's depleted, right, they've got nothing to lose. They're really well coached. It's that next man up mentality and whatnot. But the Melbourne United are coming into form now, right? So you've got Shaley coming back. Tyson Walker was showing like he saw the back of that injury issues that he was having, right? I just think Melbourne are going to be too strong. They're probably going to win that in a canter, right?
Yeah. Was I dreaming, or did I maybe say something like on the show last week that Melbourne's maybe my pick to win the championship? I don't know. I might have just been talking rubbish, but I better double down on that. I like this Melbourne team, Woods. They scare me with the firepower they've got, right? So just, I guess, to recap for this, the loser of this game is out. Season over. The winner in this game will play the loser of the Southeast Melbourne and Perth game. So, it's a double chance for the winner, as it is a double chance for the loser in that Wednesday night game. But yeah, and then the winner of that game eventually will play your Sydney Kings, right? So if you could pick, so at the moment it could be any of those 4 teams that play Sydney, right, Woods? Who would you like to play? I know coaches and players don't like asking that, answering that. You'd like to play Perth? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I would like to.
Is that just so I can go with a game and you can give me some stick about that, or what is the reason?
Oh, that's just going to be icing on the cake. But I'd rather meet the SEM or Adelaide in the finals, right? And I think Perth, we've got a really good matchup against Perth. Every time we played you guys this year, it's been a bit of a cakewalk. Let's be honest, right?
So you're hating on my Wildcats, is what you're saying?
Yeah. I'm just saying that matchup-wise, I think for the Kings, the Wildcats are a good matchup. Yeah.
And have Wildcats had like a lot of key players out in all those games against Sydney this year? Maybe? Or?
I mean, you've had David Duke
sacked our import in the first game. We didn't have
back and forth. Yeah, so it's
Dylan Windler played like one game pretty much against them. So yeah, all right. I don't mind our chances against anyone, but yeah, you're right. Perth against Sydney is tough. Sydney, they were the minor premiers for a reason there. So
I'll take it back to what I said. Like, protect the 3-point line, really get them into a rut, taking bad shots, win that game, and go and qualify in the second and third. Other guys like Wes Iwundu, Ian Clark, Angus Glover, Geordie Hunter, they're all just going to be jacking up trays, man. Right?
Yeah.
So.
Ian Clark, does he do much in big games? Oh, actually, yes, he does, doesn't he? He's like, his nickname should be Big Game, like James Worthy. Just out of interest, Woods, do you know when that game would be? So let's.
So this is really, really annoying me. Okay, so I look at my phone right now, and it's advertised on the NBL website as on a Friday night, bro.
It can't be Friday.
Surely not, right?
Because I already know the Sydney Kings have already said their game one's going to be next Wednesday, right?
I've already bought tickets.
That's a long break there. So look, it can't be Friday night. They wouldn't give Melbourne and Tasmania a 24-hour break. So I would have thought Saturday or Sunday.
Saturday night probably makes
Saturday
sense.
night maybe, yeah. And then look, we know the AFL starting this week, and it kind of interferes with those sort of things, especially if one of those Melbourne teams might have it. But yeah, I guess we'll find out more. Maybe it's about scheduling. Maybe they have to have that up their sleeve due to conflicts and things like that. Well, we know Perth have had issues, with getting home venues booked as well in these big games.
That probably could be it, dictating
could
it,
be,
because
right?
whoever wins is going to dictate the date, right? Yeah.
Pretty much, right?
Yeah.
Before we wrap up the NBL, Woods, there was some coaching news in New Zealand. Why don't you tell the audience about
that? Coaching news?
In New Zealand, yes. Moving on.
Yes, Federico Coppinen. Yes, moving on, man, which was really disappointing, man. I really wanted him to stay for another year, and I think he said, look, I've really enjoyed my time, the community, loved working with the New Zealand team. I'm just looking for the next challenge in my career, and I would like it to be closer to home. So completely understandable, but Dylan Boucher went out and said, mad respect to him and his contributions towards the club, and he'll always be a member of the Breakers family. So yes.
Were you surprised about the move? Because I know we spoke about it after they won the pre-season tournament and things like that. We probably both hoped that he'd be back as well, didn't we? So I think, what did he say? He's going back to coach in his native Finland and sort of have some opportunities there, right?
He's looking for another challenge in life, his next challenge in life, and he would like that opportunity to be closer to home, right? So yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, interesting. So we wish him all the best. It was good having someone like him out there, right? A bit of a different type of coach that you do get out here, right? So, wish him all the best in his future endeavours there. So, all right, Woods, we might go on to talking some FIBA basketball now. So, we had that FIBA break, which was the reason why these NBL finals games are pushed back. So, I guess firstly, New Zealand, they went 2-0. Had a really close win against Philippines in the first game, and then they took care of business against Guam in game 2. But we're going to talk about the Boomers games. So, look, on Thursday night now, Australia won, let's face it, a pretty tight game over Guam, 93-80 there. They were led by FIBA Tanner, as I've heard, I think Mookie and a few others referred to him today, with 28 points. Elijah Pepper with 23, and Samson Froling got 13. Wasn't the most impressive game against Guam, wasn't it? I got to say, that stadium they played in looked like a stadium that we play in on a Thursday night or something. It wasn't great, was it? But look, shout out to Guam. They kept on coming. This is a pretty makeshift Boomers. This might be one of the worst Boomers teams on paper that we've seen, and no disrespect to guys like Tom Wilson and Isaac and those sort of guys, but man, they have some guys that are pretty much known as NBL 1 players, let alone playing for the Boomers there. But maybe we won't talk about that one too much, because it was the big game last night that everyone was talking about. Australia against the Philippines. It was the first time they played in the Philippines since that massive fight that happened a few years ago. That did I mention Daniel Kickett's name earlier? Okay, I think I might have. I think he might have been in that game.
He was.
But yeah, it's I was worried about this game. I've got to say, Woods, when New Zealand basically struggled, and that New Zealand team had all their bigs playing in that, didn't they? And they had a pretty solid team in that, a lot stronger probably a team to choose from than the Boomers team. I was worried about this. It was tight at quarter time. It was tight at half time. I'm going to say, Woods, I was actually pretty tired and went to bed last night and checked the phone in the night when I got up just to see, how it was. This ended up being a 27-point victory for the Boomers. I'm assuming you watched it all.
I watched it all.
What happened in that second half? Because the first half, it was a real struggle, wasn't it?
Yeah, from the third quarter onwards, man. Well, for the fourth quarter, they were just taking ridiculously poor shots, Philippines. I cannot believe any professional basketball team would take these shots, right?
Yeah.
They had, what was the score in the fourth quarter? I'm pretty sure they barely scored in that fourth quarter. You'll have to check that. But just quickly, over those two games, Krebs and Pepper took 74 field goal attempts. 46% of all shots taken. Talk about a license to go for it, man. Like
they might both be a little bit tired in those games this week, right? But you're absolutely right. They had the red light, the green light, every other light they could have had for those games, right? And is there anyone else that maybe stood out for you in those games? I mean, Tom Wilson, I thought, had some decent moments. He's someone that maybe not a lot of people know. He's obviously, been a basketballer and then an Aussie rules footballer and back to basketball. But anyone else in that team that maybe stood out that maybe people might not know about?
Tom Wilson, he kind of fell out of the rotation in Melbourne and didn't get much opportunity to play. He's got a really nice looking stroke there. Good for him. Isaac White to get an opportunity as well. I think he might have played for Australia in the past before. But I think what was really good is seeing guys like Nick Kay and Jack White, Mitch Creek as well. It's really good that during these... We had Keanu Pinder do it last year, and I think Pon Makers come and represented, whatever. These guys playing overseas, coming during the FIBA break to help us. It's just awesome. And so you mentioned some of those young guys. Must be pretty cool for them to play along. Jacob Holt, for example, just come from Canada. He's playing for the Brisbane Bullets. He would have never met Mitch Creek before, these few games, right? And just must be
Mitch
great
Creek,
for them.
Mitch Creek for me was the one I was really excited to see. Woods, I really miss having this guy in the NBL, right? And hopefully he will come back and eventually. But yeah, he was pretty handy out there. He was the real veteran on this team, wasn't he? I'm going to say a shout out to the Philippines crowd. We know seems like there's a lot of back and forth on social media between Philo fans and Aussies and stuff like that. But all their fans were really gracious. They were pretty good for the Boomers. I think they were just appreciative of seeing basketball. They're a crowd that would be hard to play in front of because they moan and groan when their own players miss shots, right? It'd be one of those ones, you know what I mean? There's sort of so much expectation. You get a shot in, they go crazy, but you miss like a layup or an easy shot and they're groaning and stuff like that. So it'd be a lot of pressure playing at home. But nice stadium, that one. It was a really good crowd there. And look, they're through to the next round. We know the top 3 teams go through. So Guam are out now as expected, and Philippines, New Zealand, and Australia go through.
So just quickly, Guam has got Jonathan... What's his name? Jonathan Galloway. A guy named Jonathan Galloway. He was decent. Right. And then the Philippines have that Brownlee guy. Did you see him just taking every single shot? He's not shy, is he? Right? Yeah. So there's some nice players that I saw, though, that I enjoyed. Yeah.
And that's the thing. We're sickos. Woods will watch anything. I mentioned I was at an NBL 1 pre-season game, watching all the WNBL games, watching FIBA games. This is what we do, right? This is why we love this game so much. So, all right, I appreciate that. Well, I mentioned we were certainly going around the grounds, Woods. We're going to do a little bit of NBA. Not too much this week, but I gave you a little bit of homework here. We just thought we'd maybe talk about 3 players that have recently changed teams, right? Kind of fitting, maybe we're going to talk about one of them. So the 3 players I wanted to talk about and ask you about are James Harden, Benedict, maybe let's call him Ben Mathurin, and Jonathan Kuminga. But I think we need to start with Jonathan Kuminga, Wood. So he put up another huge game for Atlanta today. The crowd was shouting out, "Thank you, Golden State," which was pretty cool. I don't know if you saw those 2 dunks.
I did.
Dominic was going nuts in the coverage for that. So basically he did a windmill on the break, and then about a minute later he drove in and kind of did this left hand. I don't even know what you call that dunk, but really impressive. He's fitting it well, isn't he?
3 games since he joined Atlanta, 21.3 points per game, 7.7 rebounds, 3.3 assists, 1.7 steals. He's shooting 56% from 3, 70% from the field, man. I know it's a small sample size, but talk about making an immediate impact, right? So,
how many times has he smiled in those 3 games as well? You can't wipe the smile off this guy's face.
More than he has in the last 3 years, in the last 3 games, right?
Did you know he was this athletic?
Yeah. I mean, like, he was out of... He got drafted out of the G League, if I'm not mistaken, out of G League Ignite or something, wasn't he?
Right.
From memory. So I remember him in some of those pre-draft
well, doesn't he? Well, today was the actual first time he had shared the court with Jalen Johnson because Jalen got injured before he came on in the last game. But there was no doubt that those 2 could work together. G League Ignite, I mean, he just gets down the court, and I love that. He's sort of running past people, finishes well at the rim. Really like it. You can see his teammates like him already. As I said, the crowd have already got behind him. I could see a Jonathan Kuminga Hawks jersey in our future as well, Wood. So,
for sure, man.
Yeah, got to say, what a great trade so far. I already see Porzingis played the 1 game and he's out now, and who knows whether he'll come back. I think this could be a trade that goes down that Golden State are going to regret, but it got to them. I mean, we've spoken of this at length. They had to make a move. Clearly, there was a big issue between Steve Kerr and Kuminga. Maybe we'll find out one day what it is. Maybe we won't. But at this stage, I'm really happy to have him as a Hawkwoods. Fit, as I said, to bring him off the bench. I think he comes on with instant offense. He can hit the 3. He gets up and down the break. He's been busy on the boards and on D, which I think is a sign of when you're happy, you sort of play better defense and stuff. So great trade for us so far. Let's talk about another guy. I think if we'd have done this a few days ago, we would have been a bit higher. But your boy Ben Mathurin, he's had 2 pretty brutal games for the Clippers. Struggling. He came off the bench in today's game. What are your thoughts been on the fit with Benedict Mathurin? Because it's a bit of a strange Clippers team now, right? They made a few moves at the deadline. They've got some injuries. But how do you think he's going so far?
Well, you mentioned it, right? It started off really well. That's it. When you get a nice, shiny new object and you're a team with a new player, you let him run straight away, right? That's why let's wait for Kuminga to play seven games or 8 games and see where he's at that point. So he's had 7 games so far, Benji Mathurin, and he he was getting minutes for the first 4 or 5 games. I think he only played about 10 minutes tonight, so he's falling out of the rotation. But I will tell you what we talked about the Clippers earlier, and I said what they do need to do is get a bit younger, right? You know, they've got a lot of old guys. His dad's army, so they have got a nice asset in Benji, and you know, the ceiling is really high for him. He's been quite inefficient.
He's putting up those lines that you don't like people getting in fantasy, right? He'll get 10 points or something. He'll have 1 rebound and 1 assist, and he's really not contributing anywhere else apart from putting the ball in the basket. And he does handle the ball quite a bit. He's a guy that I think you probably wanted a little bit more for, getting some boards. He's a pretty big guy, right? Pretty athletic. Yeah. He should be able to get more than 1 rebound a game. So, look, it's early days, like we said with all these sort of guys. But, the last few games haven't been amazing, right?
Shooting 18% from 3 and in the late 30s from the field. So very inefficient. Right?
Yeah, that's not great, is it? So, all right, and the third one I talk about is James Harden. We know he had a bit of a thumb injury, so I think he might have missed their last game. I think I mentioned at trade deadline, I really like this. You gave up Darius Garland, who the guy is never healthy. You think he's making his Clippers debut in their next game. But how are your thoughts on Harden been? And we've seen Cleveland, playing some pretty good basketball. I like the fact that they've got some real defensive players in the middle there, and then you can bring on someone like Harden that's just that instant offense. Yeah, he hasn't had great finals, games in the past, but he's someone that we know can step up in, big games, maybe regular season games, so they don't want to be a bit picky there. But what are your thoughts on the beard in Cleveland so far?
It's been really good. And, this is the thing with James Harden, right? It's always like this. Once he gets traded, everything's happy, everyone's good, he loves the guys he's playing with. Till it isn't, right? And luckily he got traded after the trade deadline, because by the time shit goes south, it'll be next season sometime, right? And he's arguing with his coaches and whatnot. But you get the best of him straight after he's leaving a situation to come into a new one, right? And we're seeing that now. And as you said, have some of those great pick and roll threats in Jared Allen and Mobley to work with a guy who's so effective in that situation. Is amazing, right? You got Donovan Mitchell there as well. A lot of different looks you can throw at defenses with the nucleus that they've got on the bench as well. So I think...
Hey, my boy Jalen Tyson's suffering a bit from this trade, right? His minutes are going right down. Funny thing about Harden for me, Woods, considering he's someone that, can often be referred to as a selfish player or selfish away from the team, he's very unselfish on the court, isn't he? You're right. He works well with big guys. He's always done that well. Whether it was
definitely,
Clint Capella in those Houston days and things like that. If you're someone that's a rim threat, can run the floor sort of thing, he'll find you, right? And he's already working pretty well with Allen and Mobley there. So, look, I think if you're an Eastern Conference team, this is a team you do not want to play, in the final series, right? Definitely not. Even though we talked about Harden hasn't done it there, maybe this is the year that he turns around. And it's Donovan Mitchell's team, right? That's might make things a little bit easier for Harden.
Yeah, absolutely. And even though Harden has not been successful in the postseason, I do feel like this team is built to be successful in the postseason with James Harden. In 8 games, he's averaging 19.3 points a game. He's shooting 50% from the field, 50% from 3, and he's given you 8 assists per game. Man, those are pretty good numbers. Very good numbers.
And he's good for the local Cleveland economy as well, right?
Ooh, definitely.
So that's also definitely. All right, I appreciate that, Woods. Yeah, as I said, we thought we'd keep it a little bit short this week, but talk about some of these guys finding new homes. And look, obviously next week, we'll probably get a bit more into the NBA. I think you mentioned to me offline, it's a funny time in the NBA, that late February, early March. So many teams are tanking, mystery injuries. It's that grind that people are going through now. But look, it's about 20 games away from playoffs now, so it's going to start to heat up. Now, Hawks are looking okay before we finish. They've had
definitely
a 5-game homestand. Had a few easy games there, but look, they crushed Portland today and had a couple of big wins against Washington. They're only about 4 wins behind Philadelphia now in 6th place. So fingers crossed we can hold it together and move up and, maybe get out of the play-in. Could we dare to dream?
Denny was out today as well. I want to see us win good against good teams when we're...
For sure, we need to play some good teams. And look, we will be on the road a little bit more now. So look, we're going to do some true or false. I know we want to do a classic packs today as well, because we haven't done that for a few weeks. So let's go with this quick true or false as well now. So, all right, true or false, JaVale McGee and Kendrick Davis both have a right to be pissed off with the NBL awards. And I want you to talk about each one whether you think it's true or false.
Okay. True for JaVale McGee. Are you kidding me? He's put up historical numbers. How does he not make at least an All-NBL?
Hey, they forgot about him, didn't they? There's no other reason. They basically forgot him on their ballots. Of course he should have been. Your boy Xavier Cooks is good, right? But how would he get in over JaVale McGee? It's not how many games your team won sort of thing. It's how you played. It's an All-NBL awards. I mean, he was probably unlucky not to make the first team. He should have been one of the first players in the second team. NBL got that wrong.
Yeah. And as far as Kendrick Davis, no. Okay, like he lost to Bryce Cotton, right?
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
what happened? Let's talk about it real quickly. I want to get your opinion on it. As soon as Kendrick Davis was denied the MVP award, he went on Instagram Live, and for everyone who's listening to this show, he said a lot of things about how it was rigged, how Derek Rucker is fake. He then confronted Derek Rucker at a bar after the game with players around, and they really got into it. Anyway, he's being a little bit of a brat about it, right?
A little bit immature, you reckon?
Bit immature about it. Now, I love my Sydney Kings. I love Kendrick Davis, right?
Yeah.
But let's leave that aside for a second, okay? Where Kendrick Davis does have a point is two people left him off the vote for the all NBL first team and Sobe, right?
Yeah.
Now, are you telling me that those people didn't have an ulterior motive to put him on the team?
Some people have said that they may be Adelaide-related kind of guys, and again, we don't know the full list of votes, and that's what Kendrick Davis has come out and spoken. We like that with the NBA voting. You get the votes, and name and shame. There's guys that have had some shocking votes over the years that probably when they get named and shamed, they don't get the ballot next year. So you're absolutely right with that part. That was wrong that he wasn't even on their all-NBL first team. That's just, I don't know what that is. It's just like a not liking a player rather than the actual facts.
And I really hope that some of the veterans on that ball club, Delhi, Xavier, even Brian, pull him aside and say, listen, man, like you've been so great this year, but like put these things aside. Don't let these things get to you. Okay, the objective is to win a championship. Let your game do the talking on the hardwood as opposed to on Instagram or whatever, right?
For sure. All right, well, speaking of your Sydney Kingswoods, the second question is Sydney having 2.5 weeks off between their last regular season game and a semi-final next week is a worry for them.
I don't really think so, because you got guys like Delhi who are coming back, being banged up all year. Gorgian runs a tight ship. They'll be training hard, going through their sets. They'll be scouting. So I think for a team like Sydney, no, they've been pretty banged up this year, and especially Delhi, man. Get him fully healthy after all his concussions and various different ailments he's had. The 2 weeks wouldn't hurt, right? So he's going to be a big part of what we do.
I think their injuries have been a lot better than some of the other teams around them.
Fair enough. But for Delhi specifically.
Yeah, so I like your theory, though. Maybe a veteran team, it's probably a good thing for them there with some of those guys. But it'd be interesting to see anyway. And it is a long break, 2.5 weeks, but you're right. I'm sure they've had some pretty hardcore practice sessions there. All right, finish off with some NBA ones for true or false. Utah Jazz are making a mockery of tanking yet again, and the league should come down harder on them. True or false?
True. I think the tanking rules should change completely. It's just becoming a joke now. Like no
How's
one
the
wants
Larry Markkinen one? They rest him for all these random reasons, and suddenly in a practice last week, he picked up 2 other injuries just out of the blue, and now he's like 2 weeks away, sort of thing, because they were just having him out with rest, and they were getting fined for it. So I hate what they're doing, Woods. I know it's a good draft next year, but this is going to be the catalyst to the NBA changing, and Adam Silver's already come out, right? So I think we're both true on this one, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Sacramento is a little bit of a backup maybe, but look, they at least have had guys that have had surgeries, right? But these are sort of surgeries you'd normally have as soon as the season finishes rather than moving them up. But shout out to my boys, Zach LaVine and Sabonis, who are not currently playing, which is a bit tough. So, all right, last on Woods. Their winning streak actually ended today. I think they might have gone through the whole of February undefeated, but San Antonio Spurs are a legit chance to go all the way this season. True or false?
True. It's true.
Yeah.
I would have never said that at the start of the season. I said they're going to compete and maybe win a couple of rounds, right?
Yeah, true for me. I like that, the play they've got all around there. You've got some big game players in Fox. You know what Wemby's going to do there. And I just like some of their, I like some of their guys that just, more unsung guys, like, Devin Vassell can put up some big games for them and sort of still goes under the radar a bit. So, well coached.
The horse, Keldon Johnson, he's doing all right this year. Yeah,
big boy, isn't he? Yeah, so, no, I think that's the truth of that. I think we agreed on maybe all those. Maybe I'm a little bit more worried about Sydney having that 2.5 weeks off than you, but anyway. But all right, you got some classic packs for us to finish off?
Yes.
What do you got?
Yes. The Series 2. What else? 91, 92,
Series 2 is a worry, right? This could be a lot of no-names.
Oh, no, 1989-90, sorry. 89-90, Series 2.
Cool. Let's see what we got. Hopefully a good pack this week.
All right.
How are you going for packs? You got any more after this? Or?
Yeah, one more.
Cool.
Okay, this guy I loved him at Dallas, playing alongside Derek Harper. He was an Arizona State 11th pick of the 82 draft for Portland, played for Denver. He led all guards in rebounding and led the Nuggets for the 3rd straight season.
It's got to be lay fat lever, right?
Yeah, fat lever.
Nice. It's funny, it actually has his full name there. Normally most of the cards actually had fat written on there. What do the back of those cards look like?
Oh, yeah.
It's got the old player. And they're the cards we like, right? I mean, back in the day, we learned their heights and weights, their college and and their career stats. So I wish the cards did that more now.
One part of the original great Twin Towers. He then went to Golden State after debilitating injuries, ended
Ralph
his
Sampson.
career very, very quickly. Ralph Sampson, Golden State card, right?
He was a bit of a Wemby build back in the day, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Before that,
definitely. That's what I said. Like, who can you compare Wemby to? Is there anyone?
Yeah.
Right? I said sort of Ralph Sampson. You know what I
I
mean?
only really by build though, right?
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
really by
yeah,
game,
yeah.
No, it was a shame his career's curtailed his career.
Yep. Recently passed away one of the great shot blockers of all time,
Mark Eaton.
Mark Eaton.
Yeah, nice. Love Mark Eaton back in the day, right? Just seemed
What a
like that
legend, man.
big sort of gentle giant, right, on the court, and yeah, such an important.
I can't
player
believe
for Jazz.
he-
He was a one club player, wasn't he?
Yeah. Utah.
Yeah.
Okay, 1989 NBA All-Star Game card.
Ooh,
This man
quiz me.
was MVP of the All-Star Game in '92, which was just an iconic All-Star Game because of the announcement.
Was it Magic who was MVP in that year or not?
'92 he was,
Yeah.
but
okay,
this
yeah.
is his '89 card,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
right? I was just
Nice,
giving you a
nice
clue.
looking All-Star card
Yeah.
there. Yeah, nice. Bit of Irvin Johnson. They don't mention Magic there.
I'm not Elvis, but I am.
Elvis, did you say? But you're not.
I'm not Elvis, but I am. Former Villanova 17th pick in the 1986 draft, Harold Presley.
Ah, right. Okay.
Heard
Those
of
old Sacramento jerseys are like those. Yeah, that would have been a tough one to get.
Yeah. Expansion draft choice for the Timberwolves. This man was also an Atlanta Hawk, and someone who we always talk about his questionable coaching career.
Oh, Ty Corbin.
Yeah, how many Ty Corbin cards do we
We
get?
have had a lot of Ty Corbin. Man, could they have made it any more clear that he was in that expansion draft? What's that massive thing going over him on the card? That's random, isn't it? Hey, maybe we'll see that in a few years when Vegas or Seattle gets a team in, right? And players have got to nominate the teams to the draft, yeah.
I used to love this guy, man. Just a guy who could just come off the bench for New York in the 80s, early 90s. I think he was at New York for a bit as well. Went to college at Minnesota. He was the 6th pick in the 82 draft.
Derek Harper?
New York all through the 80s, man. He's a shooting guard, 6'5". Come off the bench.
What number?
6.
Oh, Trent Tucker.
Yeah.
Nice. You know I love the numbers, Woods. Yeah, he was good, wasn't he, back in the day? He played with the Bulls as well, I think.
Yeah. One of the greatest point guards of all time. Used to be best friends with the man who was just on that All-Star
So
card.
it's Isaiah Lord Thomas.
Yeah. Pretty good card, man. Like some pretty good names in this pack.
Yeah. That was when they played in that massive stadium, wasn't it? You can tell with that one. You know, that ridiculous stadium that Detroit had. It was like a football stadium. Yeah, he was a great
His
player.
son is now an assistant coach at the Brisbane Bullets, and this is his '89 All-Star Game card.
Another player we've pulled their card a lot of times, Woods. And one of your favourites, Patrick Ewing.
Patrick Ewing, my favorite center of all time.
Yeah. Patrick Ewing, Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas. This is going all right.
Getting even better. The greatest assist man to ever play the game. And
Yinkadare.
also his All-Star card.
So if it's not Yinkadare, right, it's definitely John Stockton.
Yinkadare in the All-Star game. Right?
Yes. Nice pack. Normally there's a few that you haven't even heard of, right? These are all pretty good ones here.
All right, this guy, Bucks head coach in '89.
Bucks head coach.
White-haired man, had a falling. No, that wasn't him. No.
Bucks what hair? Not Richie out of.
He coached Houston. He coached Milwaukee, and I'm pretty sure he coached the Lakers as well. Of course, he coached the Lakers in the '90s.
Oh,
right?
was he in the Naked Gun film series as well?
Yep,
Okay, Del Harris.
Del Harris, yeah.
For those that don't know, he was a dead ringer for Leslie Nielsen back in the
Yeah,
day,
he
star
was.
of the Naked Gun. Yeah.
Okay, this guy's a name I haven't remembered in a while. A forward center, big white stiff from the Spurs, 6'10", went to Penn State.
Chuck Nevitt.
No, come on, man. No, Chuck Nevitt barely played. This guy actually played. He averaged 13.7 points per game in the 1989 season. He started at center.
What number?
Before he was number 45. It was before David Robinson was drafted. He was started in the year before for the Spurs.
Not Brad Lowhouse.
Frank Brakowski.
Oh, the brick. Yeah, that's right. I remember him with Milwaukee more than Spurs.
Okay.
Yeah, he was solid.
I've got no idea who these guys are. 1989-90 expansion team guard from the Magic.
Oh, okay. I like these ones.
No idea, man. His name is Otis Smith. Do you know?
Yeah, I would have known Otis Smith. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
He was in the front office for the Orlando, right? He's a big guy, yeah?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
6'5". No, he's 6'5".
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, this guy was an expansion draft for the Magic as well. Went to Long Beach State. He played for Dallas for 1 year, averaged 2 points a game before coming to Orlando in 88, 89.
What number? That's probably the old team's number, isn't it?
Number 20. Morlon Wiley.
Wow. Jeez, I wouldn't have got that one in a million years. So why has that got a different thing on the front of that compared to that expansion ribbon?
Yeah, that's
what is that?
weird. Yeah, I don't know why that's like that.
Hmm.
Maybe that's a last minute one. And I don't know.
Maybe.
Okay, and finally, number 42 from the Hornets, center. Big white stiff. Nebraska
that's
College.
Got to be Mike Jaminski.
Dave Hoppin.
Oh, Dave Hoppin. Wow. I think he played with the Bulls. Maybe does it show that on the back? Is he maybe with the Bulls?
Nah, Milwaukee, Golden State, and Charlotte. That's it.
Golden State. Yeah, I remember him there. Okay, so it started off really good, and then it kind of dipped away a little bit at the end. But so what do we have? We've got Magic Johnson, Isaiah Lord Thomas, Patrick Ewing.
John Stockton, you said
Stockton
John
as well.
Yeah. Tyrone Corbin, Fat Lever, Ralph Sampson, Mark Eaton, not the worst.
Okay, no, not a bad pack at all. All right, that was fun, Woods. Well, yeah, we'll have to get some more packs and keep that going. So that was always fun. Well, yeah, we'll take it to an outro. As we said, we crammed a lot into that episode, didn't we? And I appreciate all your homework you've done for that with the WNBL and FIBA and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, just with the outro there, as we mentioned at the start of the show, please make sure you like, rate, and subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. We're going to be filming on X at Throwback Hoops. Woods will get, maybe both these jerseys this week, Woods. Maybe in the Kai Sotto card, and we'll get some love from the Filipino fans watching this. Patreon, we mention it every week. For those that want to pledge a couple of dollars to help support us, we greatly appreciate that. I'll throw it over to you, Woods. Obviously, we've got a big week at NBL coming up. NBA is going to start heating up. But, yeah, what are your final thoughts? What's something you're looking forward to at the moment?
Yeah, definitely the play-in tournament, man. Wednesday and Thursday. It's had a bit of a lull. NBL's not been there in our lives. I know we've had the FIBA games and a bit of NBA. But, yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. Look, think about it. There's not going to be that many games left in the NBL season, man. Like a dozen max, right? I think, if my maths is right. So something like that. So...
And just to recap, Woods, these don't count as playoff games, do they? They're not playoff games because they're not. Yeah. The playoffs don't start until the top four. You reckon they should, but they don't, though, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure in the NBL. In the NBA, they don't. It's just
the NBA. Those stats are kind of lost to history, aren't they? Which is really strange. You put up a crazy game in the play-in.
Yeah, I'll have to ask Matt McQuaid.
We should know the play-in.
Like,
given our Hawks are in the play-in every year, we should know more about it.
I want to ask Matt McQuaid or someone in the NBL know where the ststats go for these playing games.
Yeah,
right? Are they just going to do the ether or they contribute towards postseason stats, right?
Hey, Woods, you want to tease next week's show or you want to keep that under wraps?
Yeah, man, we're going to talk some college ball. March Madness is coming up, guys. So we've got a very special guest joining the show, and we're going to be talking some college hoops and Aussies specifically over there in the US and how they're doing.
Does this mean I get to pull out a Michigan Wolverines jersey for next week, Woods? I've got a few of them. All right.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Michigan Wolverines jersey. It's not going to be an Aussie player, but I've got a few Michigan jerseys. So, all right, that was great fun, Woods. Really appreciate it. Can't wait to do it all again next week with that special episode. And it's a big peace out from the Throwback Hoops crew.
See you guys.